I legitimately have you can't spell Christmas without GIRL stuck in my head. Although that's never been the criticism.
No, it's never the music.
That the songs aren't catchy.
I'm not slagging off the music here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your new favorite YouTube pop culture channel where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. On today's probably more of a mini-sode, we're just going to have a little conversation about the VH1 RuPaul Christmas holiday film, The Bitch Who Stole Christmas. I think the funniest thing is that that title has nothing to do with...
It's very like...
Tangentially.
It's very like The Muppets Take Manhattan in that way.
I like that that's your takeaway. It's almost like you'll never... Like, it could never stand a chance. They simply
Manhattan.
don't take Manhattan.
They don't take Manhattan. These bitches don't steal Christmas. That's my biggest concern.
So, we're moderately new to Drag Race. We've been watching.
Anymore.
No, I was gonna say we've been watching for like the last 3 years live, and then I've gone back and seen. I think I've seen more than half of the seasons.
Yeah, because even I watched those 2 other seasons with you. We've done 2 All-Stars,
and it is a very vast and deep mythos. And I have found that the more well versed you are in it, the more rewarding it is as a franchise. And so I was aware that they were doing they did like a Christmas special. I think it was just like an episode like a year or two ago.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And so that's actually what I thought this was going to be. And then I found out that it was a narrative. And on top of that, a like feature length one, which is very, very bold, very ambitious.
It is an hour and a half long. It feels a little longer. It feels like it took us a long time to finish this movie.
There was a point where I paused it. We were like 34 minutes in, and you're like, I feel like I've been watching this for 2 hours.
I felt like it was a long time. And I guess I don't mean that to say that I think it's like bad.
I loved this.
It was very silly.
So much. My whole life, I have loved parody. As a child, I really liked like the Mel Brooks movies, and I used to watch Mad TV, and then when I grew out of that, I went right into SNL. Have never missed an episode in 12 years.
That's the thing, is that those are the parts that I liked about it the best, is when it was a parody and when it was silly.
Well, and I determined that that's born out of I have a passion for the art of storytelling. Like, I find storytelling interesting from like a mathematical perspective.
Sure.
And the same with comedy. I really sort of like diagramming and understanding what is funny and why is it funny. Mm-hmm. And so the stuff that they made several calls with this movie, the first of which was Krysta Rodriguez and Andy Writings.
Oh, yes.
It would not have worked without them.
That's the thing, is if it was all drag queens, it would have just felt like an hour and a half's worth of a skit from Drag Race.
I almost started to tell you it's like if one of the Drag Race skits was feature length, and I knew that if that had in any capacity come out of my mouth,
that's not the way
that would have been the end of it. But you have to keep in mind that they have like 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this was we'll go with proper production.
It was a production.
There was more than 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like there was a minimum of 9 hours involved.
Minimum.
No, it was way more polished. And I think the casting of Krysta and Andy, they had good chemistry and they played it so straight.
They did.
And I think
certainly their like romance part of it, they played straight, because she played not totally straight in some of the scenes with the drag queens.
Sure. But I mean, she wasn't winking at the camera.
No. But I'm just saying she was like in on some of the jokes.
Mm-hmm. So that was a huge thing for me that really worked. The second thing is I think there's like 20 some drag queens in this.
They picked good ones.
And they have varying degrees of involvement in it. And in particular, the kind of the Ginger Minge, Brooklyn Heights, Peppermint, and Jan. those four were really, really great, excellent together, excellent standouts. I think Ginger Minj is just a extremely gifted comedic actress.
Yeah.
I would just like to see her act in things without the gimmick. Like,
sure.
Well, both as Ginger and is it Josh? Yeah, Joshua.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like Gottmik was not in drag in this movie, and
it worked.
And it worked great. Ginger could just play that stereotypical character in everything and fucking rake in the money.
But yeah, and I mean both. I mean, like, I think Ginger Min should be in stuff.
Also, yes.
They just
are all basically Dolly Parton. Just let it happen. Like, I mean,
up to and including Kylie Sonique Love plays Dolly Parton in this. Ginger has a reaction when David Koechner comes in drag.
First of all, Dave Koechner as the like PI was very funny in the first place.
What was his name was a pun. I can't remember now.
Shit.
Was it like Dick-tective or something? It was like
something.
He's not credited. It was a pun. I don't remember though.
He's not credited. What the hell? Horrible. I don't remember his name. He was funny. But then he gets put in drag by Delia Von White Woman.
James Mansfield. I love, and that was ultimately my favorite parts of it. It's twofold. I liked the drag antics, and then I liked the actual commentary on Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And also just tropes, because it's like the detective isn't so much a staple of the Hallmark Christmas movie, but I do love that he was obsessed with dead women.
Yes.
He just kept finding ways to incorporate dead women and semen.
Delia was like, no, she's alive. She's with a bunch of other girls down at the inn, and he's just like, full of dead women.
And so that stuff was really good. I don't know how exactly I feel about Andy Writings. There's a layer that I can't get past because he is so specifically something that I'm in, that I'm blinded every time. I think he's actually a very gifted comedic actor, but he's deadpan.
Yeah.
Like almost like behind the eyes dead.
I definitely agree. I also was so tickled by the story of his dead wife and how it kept coming up. And he was like, at one point, he and Olivia/Maggie were like sitting on a bench and like professing their love. And he was like, is this conversation awkward because we're having it in front of my dead wife? And then he just goes and like looks up at the clock tower. So stupid. After he's explained like perhaps the most horrifying like scenario of his wife being crushed multiple ways by the bell and the pendulum,
saltwater taffy,
and the pulleys. It's just horrific. Have you ever seen like brain matter on the inside of a bell? It's just like no.
It was so weird, and I have seen him in Kimmy Schmidt, and I don't quite remember his role. I mean, I remember he was Xanthippe. I was like Zathampi.
No, he was not.
Xanthippe's tutor.
No, he was the little boy's tutor, the son's tutor.
He was the tutor.
But he was sort of into Kimmy, and he's only in a couple of episodes.
And then he's in 4 episodes of the other 2, in which he does nothing. So it's like, I feel weird talking about how talented he is, but I think he is. It's very, there's a scene.
He's definitely doing a very specific thing.
It's so funny. Yeah. There's a scene where he's making out with her, Olivia.
Krysta.
And the way that he like entangles his body, he like wraps his leg, he almost like mermaid sits on the bench. It's so weird and so funny.
But it's also in a way that is not conducive to their continuing to make out. Like he's turned away from her and she's having to like climb over his ass and leg to continue. It's very funny.
And they're all their little cliche, because like obviously the taking of the shirt off is is funny.
I should have put on a button up and like a tank top. So
the ferocity with which he rips it open every single time, and the different ways they were finding for him to take off the shirt. Yeah. Like by the end when he goes to catch the crown and he just leaps across the stage, ripping his shirt off to catch the crown
coat
in the shirt.
Yeah.
It's so weird and funny. So the coffee meet cute was so funny because they both love coffee and they've never met anyone who loves coffee. I almost wish she wasn't carrying anything. Because it was such a little spill, and I think that was meant to be the joke. But I was almost like, this is such a cliche that could you imagine if there's no actual spill?
No actual coffee.
Yeah. It just it's that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And they also called it hot bean juice.
Hot bean water, bean
water.
juice. It was very good. So you had a very specific issue with RuPaul.
Bitch was on a green screen the entire goddamn time.
So is that not the joke? Two things can be true.
Two things can be true, but also it was like she was the only one. And to me, it just goes to all the things that we've like heard about her on Drag Race, where it's like once she sits down at the judges table, she's like wearing sweatpants. And I'm like, I get that you're the queen of all of this, but also like, come on, please.
These are her words and not mine. I pledge fealty to my queen.
I am of two minds about it, where I'm like, okay, fine. But like, I think.
Do you think it was convenient that was the joke?
Yeah. And I also think like there's a difference between, do you want to shoot all of your stuff on a different set and we'll knit it together? Fine, whatever. But you filmed everything on a green screen. That's the thing. It's not even a set. And then you forced someone else to be a stand-in in the scenes with Krysta Rodriguez.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was. I would buy the two things can be true, but I don't think that was lost on anyone.
It wasn't not funny.
Because I don't think Ru was ever on set. I think every single scene was green screened.
Yes.
Like even the scenes with James Manfield and Valentina behind Ru, it's still layered.
I agree.
I thought it was very funny.
I think two things can be true, but it just does. It's that kind of thing where I'm just sort of like, as the queen of this whole scenario, do you not want to set an example of some kind?
Ru is.
I know. I'm not angry about it. It just is sort of like a.
I loved it. And also, I love that RuPaul, the character of RuPaul, seems to be evergreen. Like, is still funny.
Sure.
Like the way she was portraying Hannah Contour.
Yeah. Also, I'm with Rachel. What was she wearing on her face?
So that was another one where I was like, I can't tell if this is intentional because they all had a weird sort of
like a sheen,
like a blur, like a motion blur on
filter.
And so that was another thing. I was like, I'm not entirely sure that's not.
It was like she had no facial features besides lips and eyelashes.
No, she looked face-tuned, but it was in motion. I've never really seen Facetune move.
It was a lot.
Very, very bold to have a main character that is a Russian whore and not have it be Katya. But I think Brooklyn pulled it off. Yeah. I don't think there was.
I do, though. I am sort of the mind where, like, would it not have been funnier if she were just Canadian?
Canadian, those old classic Canadian whores. I kind of wondered as well. I love Brooklyn, and I thought she was very funny. I also thought that it was we'll go with pretty good balance of vulgar humor and like actual kind of like Hallmark, like, whoo. Yeah. I love Jan. I actually really do. She is doing so Jan. She is so Jan in this.
Okay. Jane McBeige. I will say, in especially the very first scene where she first meets Olivia/Maggie, I actually kind of loved it. I thought it was super funny.
It was, but it was just like,
she's like, I have a chronic lack of personality, but her eyes were crazy, and I was like, that you're already
screaming too much. I was like, how do you do too much with the? But again, we're at like Ru on the green screen. Is it two things can be true? Like, do I actually want Jan to not bring?
It's not two things can be true for Jan. This was not a thing on purpose that Jan did.
I think what ultimately makes Jan work is that she is actually extremely talented. Mm-hmm. She is very beautiful and does seem to be a genuinely good person.
She's in on the joke enough that it's charming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if she were totally outside of the whole thing, it would be awful. But she's in enough on the joke about herself that it's fine.
I don't have much specifically to say about Peppermint. I'm less familiar. I think Peppermint was on an episode of Pit Stop, and I think we really enjoyed her.
Yeah.
But that was... She's one of the ones that I'm a little bit...
or the taxi driver.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a blind spot for me.
I thought it was funny. She was just like committing vehicular manslaughter left and right.
I loved Latrice Royale as the Spirit of Christmas. And
that was fun too. That
she got wrong, that she was supposed to be there for Madeline, and Madeline was Kelly Mantle, who showed up.
Yeah, later.
Did you see this season? I can't remember what I watched a lot of it in like a chunk, so I can't differentiate sometimes. But she's the one that made a dress. I think it was supposed to the category was supposed to be like Downton Abbey, and she used these flower petals, and it ultimately just looked like uncooked bacon.
Oh no!
So you didn't?
No, I don't think so.
It's terrible. It's so bad. But I'm trying to think because I know there were.
It was also nice to see Carson and Ross as Creston Carsley and Matt Rothhues. Very silly.
And the straight jokes. I did really appreciate all of the...
okay, that is one thing, is I thought, the twist at the end was gonna be that all of these, straight men who are all gay were gonna be, accidentally, or, it was gonna come out that it was no, it's just a whole gay town. Somehow
you were like, the twist is gonna be that they're all men.
Yeah, but the drag queens are just women within this universe, which is great. I love it, but it's not what I was expecting.
We're at a place where it gets it's not even dicey, but it's sort of I don't even know what to call it. You know, it's it just is what it is. I
also, whenever we watch something like this, I end up doing too much in my head where I'm like, ooh, there's gonna be that's what the expose that she's coming to write, and it's just nope.
I really liked the that Ginger was suspicious of her being
a journalist.
Yeah, but I can't remember the word. She was like, are you a reporter or something like that? And she was like, no, I'm a journalist. And she's like, oh, you make journals. Yeah. And then them trying to calm the crowd down at the end. They're like, no, you don't understand. She just makes journals. No, I thought Michelle Visage was good.
Yeah.
Utterly baffling cameos by Kim Petras and even more so Charo.
Super weird.
But the Laganja Estranja, Pork Chop, Chad Michaels is the one who does the share that everyone just I feel silly how much I liked this.
I really thought it was fun. I had a good time watching it.
I could feel you sort of being okay, and then I could feel it just sort of working for you.
I laughed
more than you think it's going to. So, yeah.
Oh, also, Anna Maria Horsford as Mayor Kunt. I just like her. She's in lots of other stuff, and she's especially Winston's mom on New Girl, and I think she's great.
I don't understand what can and can't be said because they couldn't say shit.
Yeah. They said bitch a lot.
Well, Brooklyn said it's the thing you talk about anytime we watch Drag Race, which our coverage starting up again January 7th.
Yep.
Season 14. Brooklyn had a truly pearl grasping line where it was something about
I don't remember.
I don't know. She said clit. It was something about churning your clit to make chili or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, how can that?
Yeah, that's
how
fine.
can you say that but not? Ugh. I think that's mostly it. There are a lot of little jokes. Oh, I did want to say I liked the Drag Race jokes that were peppered in, the rigor mortis and the look over there and the Takaho.
I will say that Ross did not carry it off quite as well, but other than that, it's fine.
But yeah, all in all, I kind of loved it.
Yeah.
So
give it a whirl. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't spell Christmas without GIRL.
It is a bop. It is weirdly a bop.
So yeah, like I said, we will be returning for season 14 of Drag Race January 7th, I think it is.
I think so. I think you're right.
Against everyone's wishes. So
in including our own.
So be on the lookout for that and check out our other links and
you can follow us on Twitter at soimwatching, Instagram at soimwatching this show. We have a website, soimwatching.com. We have a Patreon. We have a Cashapp. We have a Venmo. If you want to just pay us to stop talking about Drag Race, we'll take it. And then other than that, just like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
This was the evil version I made of